new YouTube channel, RJAM News.
Hit the subscribe button and like the video. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Don't miss out on our dynamite lineup. Education Radio, hosted by PIA MORATO, is on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Teleradio Bandido, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, Facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m., and YouTube channel
RJAM News.
This brings service to all educators and learners of every age. The program guests include secretaries, dignitaries, ambassadors, lawmakers, professors, volunteers, and heroes, all dedicated to contribute to this valuable advocacy. We take the streets to the classroom and the classroom to the streets.
So you will make intro.
I'll just say good morning and then I'll ask the topic and then we're live. Good morning, Secretary Abella, and welcome back to Education Radio. We still have so much to talk about today. I think we ended the last time with Bagong Pilipino and Bagong Pilipinas and what you fully mean by this. But I think it's felt by many of us, right? Especially in the pandemic, where our hopes and dreams are exactly what is stated behind you, right? So Bagong Pilipino, Bagong Pilipinas. But maybe let's explore or let's elaborate more on this, sir.
Sandali lang ha.
Sure.
Masukan na ako, masukan. Yeah. Okay.
And I think you have a guest today also. We have a special guest.
Right. She's the principal of a school in Davao, and you see, Pia. Let me just explain. We for the more than 20 years now, nearly 25 years. I think 25 years this year. We have a secondary school, and ang ginawa talaga namin ay naghanap talaga tayo ng ano, because I had been deeply impressed by a model. It's called individualized instruction.
Yes. And we had that in Poveda, if
ganun ba? Oh,
yes, we had something called individual work.
All right. Ngayon, I wanted a version of that, and then it turns out I discovered this school in Bohol. No, yeah. It's called I think Central Visayas something. Yeah, I forget. It was run by the Bernidos, these internationally known physicists. Okay. And they had, well, the man had Dr. Chris Bernido had been asked by his parents to come back to run the school, which had been there since 1930s, I think.
Wow. Okay. And so it's really traditional school.
It was a traditional school until they began to implement a learning system that is basically a graduate level learning system. Yeah. And they started to do it with their students. It's called the dynamic learning program. Yeah. And it's very interesting, Pia, because because the teacher writes out the lesson for the day, including the objectives, including the lecture.
And you're tasked to research.
And you find the answers that are there, and then you can do research, and then you're supposed to give it back,
Yes.
And it's an amazing thing because it reinforces reading, thinking, writing, all the talents. And it's something that we incorporated already in something that we incorporated in what do you call it? We incorporated in the school that we have, and that's exactly why I wanted. Pia, I think she's wanting to be accepted.
Okay. I already informed the tech Hang on a second.
All right.
I asked for who's our guest, sir?
Judith Bacaro. Judith.
Judith, Ma'am Judith.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so in the meantime, so it's really amazing. You know, at the end of the year, Pia, if the student presents several portfolios, no, and they would have handwritten out more than 1,000 pages of lectures. So can you imagine the learning and the hard wiring that goes in there? You know, ni pumapasok doon, grabe. And the students turn out to be, first, they learn how to be critical thinkers. They learn how to, you know, to look for the evidence, to look for the facts.
Yeah.
They learn how to differentiate between, hi, Mom Judith.
Morning po. Morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Education Radio, ma'am.
Thank you.
To you,
Morning.
Judith. Judith is the principal of South Point School. She has a doctorate in education, and she's been with us since for how long, Judith?
Since 1998.
And
That's a long time. I just graduated from grade school.
Yeah. I was the first grade 3 teacher of South Point School
Oh,
right after my graduation of my second degree.
welcome, ma'am. Abella,
Yeah.
take it away.
And I was just telling Pia, Judith, about the dynamic learning program. And would you like to add to the conversation, or ano? Muna, I've told her where we got it. We got it from the Bernidos.
Yeah.
I also shared with her, and our listeners shared with them how the students actually learn, how they create portfolios, and maybe you can just add a little bit more before we
Yeah.
go.
Thank you so much for this privilege. Again, good morning, Sir Ernie, and good morning, Miss Pia. It's our pleasure to take part or to accept, no, to enjoy DLP or Dynamic Learning Program since 2011. We realized that this program has greatly helped our students. We remember very well that there were those who can hardly write and finish on time, and yet day by day, as we taught them, as they learn to adopt the program, they too have greatly increased, especially in terms of accomplishing things and in terms of discipline and commitment to their personal academic endeavor. And come to think of it, these students who may have been slow, they finished with great accomplishment, with great fulfillment, and now they are professionals. And it's great for us to hear from different feedback, from our students and from our parents as well, that the program in the past, sabihin ko na in the past kasi parang hindi na masyado nagamit ngayong although it's still there, but it has greatly helped South Point School to produce students or graduates who are whole and skillful in terms of managing their personal and even civic affairs. It's great to listen to them na, teacher, salamat po sa DLP kasi natuto kami magsulat, natuto kami mag-organize sa aming mga portfolio. And by the way, their portfolios are theirs at the end of the school year. It's given to them, parang it's awarded to them, parang they come to write their own book. Ang sasaya nila. That's why they have to come up with great portfolios kasi meron din kaming Best in Portfolio Award. Wow. Parang may book sila after the school year. It's like presented to them. Yeah, it's presented to them. And we have graduates who also graduated in UP. Sabi nila, DLP has really contributed to our success.
So,
we owe that to the Bernidos, by the way, the proponents of the program.
Nice.
and this is something that's workable, Pia.
Yeah.
It's workable, and not just for class AB, it can work for all the classes,
Yes.
and it's so kumbaga, so it becomes an equal opportunity. Education becomes, and you know very well that education is really the thing is the pillar that will actually help create a more progressive Philippines. Can you imagine? Education and health, of course. Education and health.
You gotta put that together now. Yeah.
Correct.
Right. I agree. It is really the pillar. Like I had mentioned to you, and maybe Ma'am Judith will also agree. Um, Everything that we encounter boils down to education. At least for me, I end up saying it. Like when people, let's say, don't follow road rules, I end up saying, because we need an education for this. Or like I had mentioned to you, that maybe when we don't understand how money works for us, we lack financial literacy education. So everything boils down to it.
Thank you for sharing that, Piano, because one of the things that we're advocating for is that, yes, definitely education, especially STEM plus HUMS,
Yeah.
plus HUMS, but and especially we advocate that values teaching and a good historical grasp should begin even in the primaries, no, a sense of nationhood, a sense of patriotism. Not that we feel extra special to put other people down, but to be able to strengthen our sense of self and national identity, and that really helps. That really helps. In fact, I don't know if we've done this, but one of the things I'm advocating for is that, especially in the primary levels, learning should be done in the mother tongue. Kung pwede is mother tongue sana. But of course, because so that they are able to grasp principles, they're able to grasp, for example, mathematical principles, even philosophical concepts like values and. But how has it worked for us, Ma'am Judith?
I'm sorry po. Hello.
How has it worked for us? For example, most of our teaching is done in English and mother tongue, or mother tongue plus English.
That's in grades 1 to 3 po. We incorporate mother tongue.
Okay.
But we also understand that there are those students who are English speaking, so we have to go with how they understand things. At
Okay.
times, the mother tongue actually is good, but on the other hand, it's also a challenge. I would hear teachers from the public school and even public schools and private schools na nahihirapan din sila if the teachers are having difficulty in the mother tongue. How much more for our learners, no? Especially those who are coming from English-speaking families, nahihirapan talaga. But anyway, since it's part of the curriculum, then we just go by it.
The assumption, I think, is that the language spoken at home is the best medium
Yes.
for understanding concepts.
Right.
Diba? Yeah.
Yes, concepts. And also like learning another language. Like let's say you have a father who speaks Spanish, and then you're the mother who speaks another language, let's say French, right? 2 years old is a perfect time for them to start learning this, because their minds are like sponges. So what more when you start revealing to them the concepts using the mother tongue, right? And then they take that to school, and at that point, I guess Ma'am Judith would also know this. Let's say at the beginning, kindergarten or nursery, basically we expect them already to know certain things like what a table is, what a chair is, but but they will know that in their mother tongue.
Correct.
Yeah. The first school is the home.
Yes, definitely. And Abella talked about this, which is why I love it. Early childhood education.
Yeah.
Alam mo, isang ano ka talaga, I've been, like for example, we want the Philippines to truly become, to be able to, the way somebody has put it, to become first world, Pero, with that, my concern with that is, I hope that first world doesn't just mean nice buildings or what, but unang-una, I believe that first world means that all the utilities work.
Yeah.
Transport, health, education should work. And in that case, one of the things that has really worked for countries that are really succeeding is the fact that they have a long tradition of education, especially rational thinking. Especially, and sometimes, di ba, I remember kasi Pia and Judith, my own kids, my kids, Judith, they went to what they call it, a double Christian high school, which is basically a Chinese high school but run by evangelical or Protestant denomination. Alam mo, grabe yung kanilang tradition for education. Nag-aral na yung bata magmula alas 8 hanggang alas 4 ng hapon. Paglabas pa nila, meron pa silang 3 hours of tutoring. Grabe.
That's really rigorous, huh? That's rigorous.
And alam mo, it's not because they're failing. It's because many parents do that because they want the kid to advance. So, grabe. So, but I noticed that also in this individualized learning dito sa where my grandkids are enrolled in now. It's called School of Tomorrow, where they encourage to do advanced work. So they call it PACES.
Yes.
Familiar with that, I think. And
I'm familiar because my kids went through that as well.
I see. Excellent, no? So kung they finish something, even if they're all in one class, but if they finish something, they go ahead, right?
Right.
And if a kid has finished something, he has time to finish, di ba? Pwede siya maghabol.
Right.
Does individualized, yung DLP ba, does it work that way, Judith?
Yes po, actually individual siya.
Oh, we lost you, Ma'am Judith. Your
For individuals, but for groups, no, they have group performances. They would be in twos or threes or by groups. But especially now in the new normal,
yeah, how do we cope with that?
working in groups.
In groups, yeah. In groups. I had that too, individual work where you can advance. It's actually a way to motivate students that if you can do it, right? If you can go past what you're required, then that's good, right? That's actually good for you. It becomes like an accomplishment. It's more merits to you. But how I can see things running in your school and how Sec Abella is explaining things is a balance, because sir, you said STEM and humps, right? So this is a balance of soft skills and the hard skills, right? Because it's not enough for a learner to just have high IQ, but then the soft skills where it's your emotional intelligence matters, right, is pretty low. Can you explain more of this also for our viewers?
Question to me or to Judith?
Yes, sir. Any of you. You first, sir.
Oh, sige.
Cool.
Ang nakikita ko kasi is first, the Filipino tends to be, how do you call it, very emotional and very creative.
Yeah.
That's why that is why we personally, my advocacy is that we need to learn the harder skills, critical, math, arithmetic. Kasi there's a tendency, it's almost cultural. No, I don't like math. I don't like it. On the other hand, the Chinese apparently revel, in these hard skills. So kung pwede, we'd like to really motivate that. Why? Because the building of a nation, for example, infrastructures, when you talk about policies, when you talk about things that need to be done, things that need to be built, this demands hard knowledge, no? Hindi lang basta facts, but the actual ability to, to conceptualize, to actually develop, and then to implement, and then review, and then take out kung kailangan. Walang emotional attachment. Trabaho ko yan, hindi pwedeng baguhin yan. No, 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 no. Trabaho lang talaga ito. So, dapat magawa natin yan. So, a lot of hard skills we need to catch up. I mean, if you read the news, the Chinese, I'm sorry, I keep referring to the Chinese because East Asians are known for academic performance.
Right.
Actually now began to replicate the sun. Can you imagine they replicate this? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So if they're able to do that, we need to be able to develop a second tier, not the next generation to become hard thinkers.
Right.
Hard thinkers, and yet they also must have soft hearts. You cannot, like, for example, when we look at people, for example, this is where I'm coming from. When we look at people and say, when we look at the state, and you say, we're increasing our GDP. Yeah, but there are 12 million people who are going to bed hungry. What do we do with that?
Yeah.
Where should we invest? And this is where I kind of like the whole idea. That's why I favor the Japanese idea of model of development, being development. In other words, the government can say, we will develop this area, we will develop this sector, we will develop. In our case, for example, we would like to develop agriculture. We would like to be able to develop agriculture and also all agriculture-related knowledge. For example, the creation of new crops, the creation of new breeds, the creation of new fertilizers, the creation of new ways to be able to, cut down the post-harvest cycle so we can sell it, and also so that we can manufacture a lot of stuff. But that demands a lot of creativity. That demands a lot of concern. Like, for example, why should we focus on agriculture? Why can't we focus, let's say, just pure digital? Because we have a lot of people who are hungry, So there must be that dimension of a human concern, the dimension of humanity. Na dapat yung puso, which is very natural to the Philippines, must be there. Thank you. Jude, you want to add to that?
Yeah, according to Aristotle, he said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. That's why we really have to teach our students not just the hard skills, but also the soft skills, like the basics of saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, and I love you. I mean, for Filipinos, it's hard for us to say those very simple phrases, those words, and yet I cannot. I just would like to share something that happened for years ago before the pandemic. There were 5 students, grade 2 students, who were fighting outside my office, and they were shouting and they were pointing at each other and about to box each other. And then I just suddenly went out without them knowing, and I touched their shoulders and I began to tell them. I began to say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. Pabalik-balik lang. And you know what? Magically, the fighting stopped. And they began, without me telling them, they began to just say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. They were crying. And
you got them there, huh, ma'am?
grade 2 students. I didn't tell them anything, just because every morning, every Monday morning during our flag ceremony, we teach them that, the Ho'oponopono way, by which these simple things can actually, if truly imbibed by our students, by our young learners, can actually help them and allow them to go through life with ease and peace.
Yeah.
And I even overheard one time amongst high school students, they were coming from the canteen, and then I was just listening to them at their back and they were saying, o di ba, mag-forgive lang tayo. Huwag na tayo maging galit sa isa't isa. Huwag na tayo magalit sa isa't isa. Mag-forgive at saka mag-accept. And I was just smiling at their back because these are things that are not taught to many.
Yeah.
And I even remember during one of our seminars, sabi nila, what makes your school different? Sabi ko, I readily stood up and I said, we teach our students to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. We teach our students to love themselves. Very crucial. Very important. Because nowadays, we tend our students because of, the social media has so much to
The external
share.
world.
Yeah, the external world,
Yeah,
the
there's so many
must-haves,
externals. Yeah.
the must-haves and the must-this. Tapos sabi ko sa kanila, you know what? You don't have to compare yourself to others. You just have to accept who you are, be grateful for who you are, love yourself for who you are. We even have that song, I Love Myself. I mean, these are simple. This may sound very simple and very, very basic, and yet these are the very foundational values that we can teach to our learners at a very young age. Even our high school students are learning this.
Yeah, well,
And
if
they are
they
so
learn that in
grateful.
the young, you're right. If they learn that at a young age, they will bring it. They will bring it as they get with them. Take it with them as they get older. But what about Abella? You were talking about agriculture because that's part of the plan that you have, which is it's good for us. It's good for our country because we are a hub in the first place. But here's something I noticed, and this might be a challenge for you as well, Ma'am Judith, because I notice we Filipinos are not so good at geography. We're not so good at knowing how our neighbors, provinces are running, their economy, for example, what they have, the resources that they have, right? And so when they go to school and they say, okay, sa Baguio ganito, for example, they only know that, let's say, my right park sa Baguio, or somewhere in Benguet, there are the rice terraces. But that's a tip of the iceberg, a bit shallow, if you may say. But then we don't really delve deep into what are the rich resources in these areas, so that eventually when they do get older, they can actually apply skills, contribute, right? I feel that this is where we are lacking. I felt it for a long time already, me myself included, because I learned only so many things at an older age in my 30s, right? And that's a little too late. Right. So yeah, it is too late. And I hope that, it's something that the young people can do now.
Yes. May I add to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. In terms of geography, I really would like to applaud Sir Ernie for having introduced to us our field trips amongst high school students. Yeah, we had local, national, and international trips, by which our students, upon coming home, they would say, iba talaga ang South Point. Sana dito ako. There were even those students na, sana dito ako noon pa, because we of course we teach them theories from books, but then we also see to it that travel is part of their curriculum, so that they would come to explore and experience other geographical areas, so that they will not just have it here, but they will experience the culture, they will experience the traditions, the food, and everything.
Alam mo, let me, that got me excited. Kasi hindi ba in the more privileged schools abroad, they have what they call a gap year, hindi ba?
Yes.
And a gap year, they travel. Siyempre, we cannot really afford that kind. But sabi ko hindi, kasi alam ko na travel is life-changing, no? So, In the
Yes.
grade 10 yon, Judith, ano? That's
Yes
when it
po.
happened, grade 10. But even
In
before there was
2019, there were lower grade levels po
sumali
of
na.
travel to Malaysia.
Okay, so ang ano ko diyan is sabi ko, let's have regional travels. Hong Kong, Singapore, Vietnam. Get them out. Get
Yes.
them out so that they see. And just like that, when they came back from Malaysia, for example,
Yeah.
they saw the Petronas building. Sabi,
Yeah.
grabe. Yung tipong, when they come back, they see that there is such a big gap. Nagkaroon sila ng aspirations for better.
Yeah.
Not necessary. So, thank you for pointing that out, dudes. One of the things kasi sana that we'd like in connection with that, PIA, part of the whole concept was that when they come back, they prepare a parang ano, they prepare a, what do you call this? Parang hindi naman thesis, parang a
A
summary
report.
of a
A
report.
travelogue.
Travelogue.
It's a travelogue, yeah.
And also, the other thing that we wanted is that they also must spend, ano tawag nito, parang regency, parang, ano tawag yun, yung volunteer work for companies. Yung parang, ipapasok natin sila kung saan nila gusto. So that they have a variety, they can see where they would really like to go. This is part of our vision, PIA, of not vision but desire that education should include some form of streaming, not because you want to differentiate them not because you want to put them in castes, no, not social caste, but according to skills. Kung talagang ito yung skill mo, that's what you want to do, that's what you can do. For example, carpentry. One of the things that amazed me is that one of the grandsons of the Queen Elizabeth, is a wood carver.
Right?
But eventually, kasi social siya, so he makes high-end products, no? But the fact is, para sa kanila, okay lang yun. He doesn't have to be a finance expert. I like carpentry, so I'm gonna do carpentry.
Right.
And so in the same way also, traveling and yung sinabi mo, love of country, geography and stuff like that would be, but so not everybody can travel abroad. So you have domestic travel. So they do that. Part of it is really encouraging local travel. The school must be able to incorporate that, and that's possible.
Yeah. I remember very well years ago during the trip to Iligan. Our students, a handful of them, because majority of the class went to Singapore. So there were those who were not able to go to Singapore, so they were sent to Iligan. Upon coming home, they were so amazed that Iligan, according to books, is a highly industrialized city. Doon lang nila nalaman sa book. But when they went there, they experienced a bit of Iligan. So much to talk about yung mga buildings na nakita nila, yung mga visits nila sa plants, no, sa Iligan, and they were so happy. Super talaga ang sabi nila, the learnings that we have from books was na experience nila doon sa Iligan. And it's very fulfilling also on our part for them to be there, to experience
for the teacher, that's really fulfilling, right?
Yeah. For the
passed
teacher and the
something.
student. The student as well.
But I also have a question, and this might be challenging for you, Sec, and also you, Ma'am Judith, but I'll start with Sec Ernie. Why is it that, in my experience at least, foreigners know so much more about what we have than we do? Right? When I was working, collaborating with the Spanish government, for example, history alone, they knew so much more, right, than we did. They knew so much more about like resources than we did. And they knew how to explore it more than we did. Why is that? Why is this our situation?
Basically, I think it's really Well, again, it goes back to education, Tia.
Yeah, you see, I
Yeah.
keep going back around it.
It just keeps going back.
Yeah.
And also because we have not really, we tend to, hindi nga ano we do not grade to the test, no? But we actually tend to dumb down. I have a strange feeling that, I don't know, maybe it's policy, but there's a tendency to dumb down just to bring it down to skills. There's a tendency in public schools, I think, to, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but kasi parang hinahanda natin ang mga tao natin na maging ano lang, na maging workers na ipapadala natin sa labas. Kasi we don't have industries, we don't have ano. But it looks like we tend to educate enough so that they can qualify as seamen, and not even as officers, but as yung medyo the lower skills. And so it looks to me like that's why they build up TESDA, pero inadequate public learning. I don't know if it's a conscious dumbing down.
That's a really good point. I mean, even our seafarers, the ones I've spoken with couple of years back, they really say, "Ma'am, mas magaling na ako sa Aleman or mas magaling ako sa Espanyol. Kaya lang hindi po ako nakukuha kasi I don't know their language," for example. Right? They have the training or they have the skill, but they've forgotten another part, which is, the language part, which is part of the culture. So let's say they get dropped off in Spain and a German guy gets the job or gets promoted is because he speaks Spanish. Those are some of the reasons also that I've experienced with our seafarers, right? But they're actually much, much better.
Yeah,
Very
in terms
smart.
of
Better.
Very smart ang tao natin.
Very. And you know what? At some point also, I also read this. I came across a news on this where some of our seafarers are actually not qualifying in terms of...
Many. In fact, I sat down with one of the, she came from a Norwegian organization. I sat down with her for dinner. She was my dinner partner. And then she was telling me, you need to do something about this because you might lose your, may ratings yan eh. Kasi sabi niya, yung ating mga trainings, talaga mahina. I think part of it is we're constantly trying to adjust to be able to fit into the requirements of globalization. We're constantly adjusting to that. And can you imagine if we adjust 1 year, you lose 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And we've been adjusting for years. So talaga na-dumb down ang ating tao. So we become qualified for the lower skills. Yun ang qualification natin. So I think and that's why I nakita ko na kailangan talaga yung ating what do you call it? We need to review our policy.
Yeah. So it's a matter of policy, you think?
Yes. Well, kasi hindi naman nangyari lang yan eh. Hindi, parang itinuturo natin kung parang pabobo yung mga tao natin. parang hindi nawawala. Si Judith nakangiti lang. Ikaw nga, sige.
Yeah, ma'am.
Going back to that question, Pia, totoo yan. I would say, I would really agree na mas marami pang dayuhan na nakakaalam sa ating mga sa ating mga lugar-lugar. I think that has also something to do with our curriculum, no? Although many would say that our curriculum is too congested, there are a lot of subjects that are not supposed to be kaya lang it's part of the curriculum, so we have to abide. But anyway, speaking of it also has something to do with the values of the teachers, no? The values of the school by which we imprint to our students yung being patriotic, yung dapat malaman nila ang iba't ibang lugar. I remember also during one summer, in my summer class, I had an Indian, I had an one from UK and one from Japan. And they were so happy. We were so happy because we were talking about culture and tradition, and one student said, "Ganito, this is what I want in the Philippines." He presented a particular city, and then yung isa naman, and then after the class, parang they were able to travel. They were able to travel virtually through their shares, through the videos they shared, and right there and then I realized that we really need to bring our students outside the book, and we can actually be creative in terms of presenting the different cities, the different places, the different tourist destinations. Kasi ang maraming alam ang iba, nakapunta na ang maraming dayuhan sa Boracay, pero ang mga Pilipino, hindi pa lahat nakapunta sa Boracay. People outside, tourists would talk about Boracay. People would talk about Coron, Palawan, yes. And yet, ang mga estudyante, even teachers, kami minsan, hindi pa kami nakapunta doon. So, it's good. Yeah, that's why in line with this, we also, in the past, na puto lang konti, we have our annual trip for teachers, local, national, and international trips, by which the teachers themselves get to experience the different places of the Philippines. We also were able to go to Hong Kong and Singapore. And for them,
teachers.
Malaysia also, So ang saya-saya that it has, the teachers have to experience first before they can inculcate or imprint or share their experiences na ganito pala kasaya sa Palawan, ganito pala kaganda ang Boracay, no? Kung ganun. So those are some of the factors.
That's what Sec Abella has been saying also. You have to invest as much as the teacher, on the teachers.
That's basically, I think, PIA, it depends on the philosophy of the school, you know?
That's true.
Okay, in terms of investing, we meet halfway. May kunting ang school, but we save up for such trips, for our annual trips. We really save up.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Like, for example, because, it's a private school, you cannot give us much, you know? But they intentionally save up, They for the purpose of, well, that becomes a perk, that becomes a reason why they stay. Although unfortunately, we get a lot of because the reputation of the school goes far and wide, no, and it attracts a lot of bright young students. Unfortunately, it becomes a stepping stone.
Unfortunately, really.
Unfortunately as well.
Unfortunately.
Kasi maalis na sila, Anyway, having said that, I believe a lot goes back to government policy, and also for some of the philosophy of the school. We see ourselves, the school kasi, PIA, was imagined to be a preparatory, parang college preparatory school.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. I believe in that.
Dapat ganun talaga siya. And kahit na hindi pa siya K-12 noon, ganun na yung philosophy.
Yes. Okay.
More so now that may 10 to 12. Ang isang gusto kong ma-incorporate is the whole, you're familiar with International Baccalaureate, no? They have one subject there that goes theory of knowledge, para maintindihan ng estudyante that there are many ways of learning. And if we could incorporate that, if we could really incorporate that, especially sa ating dito sa K-12. So that would really be of great help, so that people know that there are many ways of learning, just as there are many ways of beliefs, and that they will understand why they know and why they don't know. Like, for example, what you mentioned, how come these foreign students seem to know so much about the Philippines? And pero tayo naman, ang skills naman natin are different, We have creative skills, we have this kind of skill, we have, mechanical skills and stuff like that. Pero kulang tayo ng abstract thinking.
Okay.
But, there's so
I agree. I agree with you.
There's
That's
some
true.
things that need to be done. Pero kung pwede talaga sana, kung pwede, ay, well, we need to have a reboot of education.
Yeah. And I think also from what I've learned from you, Abella, if I'm getting this correctly, we have been so outward thinking. Like in terms of education, we've been saying for many time for some time, including me, to be at par with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But I think what you're trying to do is also to bring it back first inward.
Yeah.
Diba? Let's stick inside muna. Dito muna tayo because
Yes.
kulang pa. Kulang pa
Yeah.
yung kaalaman natin. Tama ba ako? Is this correct? How?
First and foremost, yung outward thinking. I'd like to even be clearer about that.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to produce laborers for the world market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that what our
Why?
goal is?
Hanggang dyan na lang ba tayo?
Is
Yeah.
that what well, they say that's your comparative advantage kasi yan ang mga tao ninyo eh. Fine, we can do that. We can upskill, for example, technical schools. We should,
Yeah.
including ano ba yan, yung fashion.
Polytechnic schools actually.
Yeah, ngayon kasi parang exclusive lang siya. For example, one of the things PI believe, no, is that, for example, commerce and business and accounting should be in a technical school. Hindi
Oh,
sa university.
Yeah, that's
Bakit
really
mo sinagay sa university? It's a professional skill.
yeah.
Like for example, an offshoot of a technical school would be, let's say, your College of Fine, yung arts, yung dance, yung performing arts.
Mhm.
Like for example, I took a course when I was in Ateneo. I took a course. Like I just added a course. No, I took it for the credits. It was called Stage Management under Rolando Tino, one of the most brilliant theater directors that we have. Stage management. Sabi ko, ano ba yan? It was managing the stage for a play. You're not an actor. You're just managing the play. You're just managing the stage. Then I realized this is a skill. So there are many skills to be learned. It can be taught. We should have polytechnic schools for that. For example, how to make better videos using your iPhones. What I'm saying is that we can have technical schools. It should be upscaled. We should teach manufacturing, design, yung furniture design, for example. Ang gagaling na atin mga, for example, this guy Bujila, there's another guy, the Cebuano guy.
Kabompoy, is it him?
Koponpue. He's brilliant. But nag-aral siya sa abroad. Bakit hindi siya magturo dito?
Like bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
So, and I'm saying it should be incorporated into technical schools.
Yeah.
They don't need to go to college for this. They just galing sila sa grade 12, go directly into a technical school. Yeah. That sort of thing. And then we upskill everything. So that kasama na diyan, ang isa dapat ituro talaga. Dapat yung history.
Yun. Medyo mahina nga pa tayo dyan.
So, i-revise natin ang history.
Yeah. History and like how we can move forward.
Correct.
Really build anything if you don't know your history. You have to be able to build from something.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
But are the youth interested, sir, ma'am? Do you think?
Si Judith, she's in touch.
Sad to say, not all.
We need to humanities. We need to improve the humanities, I think.
Yeah.
I guess it has something to do with the way history is taught, the way how the teachers themselves value history. It is really something. And by the way, it takes art to teach history. It's not just learning who, when, or what, but it's more of that. It's more of that. Tama yun na. We need to know first. We need to fill our cup first before it overflows. We have to.
Yeah, when I taught world history, I remember having to incorporate like group plays, and I have a teacher
yeah,
that's pretending to be Genghis Khan also, so that
yeah,
they can
yeah.
understand, right? But maybe does it also go back to our policies? I mean, when you get your curriculums from, let's say, the DepEd, right? You look at it, and I have experienced teachers coming up to me and saying, "Ma'am, I don't know where to begin."
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That's why at South Point we make innovations. We still stick to the curriculum, but we always make the necessary innovations. We have to be very creative, because if we have to stick on the curriculum that's provided for us, oh my God, we would learning.
Yeah,
We yeah, very hard
it's
for the
policy again, Sec.
correct. Alam mo, like for example, what actually happened in 1898,
Yeah.
hindi naturo yan eh. Hindi talaga
Yeah.
naturo na naninakaw talaga sa atin ang ating independence, ang freedom natin. Of course, may dahilan and all that, pero dapat maituro talaga yan. Na, bakit June 12? Ano bang significance ng June 12?
Yeah.
Bakit hindi July 4? Kasi nung I was born July 4, tapos bigla naging June 12. Kasi natauhan tayo na, we were not, pati katulad nito, Independence Day, we were given freedom. Pagkakaalam ko, freedom is not given, freedom is taken. No?
Yeah, you fight for it. You
fight
stand
for it.
up for it. Yeah.
Which is what happened in
1898.
98. But even that was not a Philippine Revolution. That was a Tagalog War. Hindi ba? And dapat ma-teach yung mga nuance na yan para eventually, ganun ba? And para sa akin, like, for example, technically, alam mo yung as a nation, one of the most hindi memorable milestone talaga sa atin sa paniwala ko, with no offense to anybody, is 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Hindi kasi we were in Davao, Judith was there.
Yeah.
Yung that night when the family left,
Yes.
and they said, on the alisan here, you could hear the helicopters, and we were in Davao, and people actually automatically went to the streets to dance. It was an entire nation that participated. So dapat mapag-usapan yon. Dapat mapag-usapan and say, bakit? What was so significant about that? Ganito, ganyan. Now, of course, we understand, yung mga anak nandito, blah, blah, blah. Pero ang ano ko, dapat matuto din tayo na, sige, kung talaga may problema pa tayo, and I think we do have, and dapat magkaroon tayo ng Truth Commission.
Yes.
Pag-usapan natin. Alam mo, kami nasaktan. Kayo, wala na yung nag-perpetrate. Fine, patay na siya. Pero kayo yung mga mukhang, sa palagay namin, alam mo, so there should be some form of a face-to-face so that maka-move on tayo. Mahirap mag-move on kung hindi pa naghilom yung sugat.
Correct. Exactly.
Ma'am Judith, yes. Do you have a hard time Do you have a hard time trying to do this also with your students? I'm sure the ones in high school have many questions, maybe. It's either they have many questions or they're just trying to get by when it comes to our history.
Actually, they're just trying to get by.
Yeah, that's what
to answer questions without having it here, without valuing what happened in the past. That's why we go back to how the teachers teach history, the values that are being imprinted. Kailangan yan.
Yeah, I agree. So we have 5 minutes left. Sec Abella, let's push for your last words, what you can leave our learners behind today. And also our teachers. We have a lot of DepEd teachers listening who tune into this show as well.
Okay.
And who love that you want to change policy.
Sa palagay ko kasi ganito na, merong ang bayan may pangangailangan talaga ngayon. Una, pagkain, trabaho, edukasyon, tsaka kalusugan. Apat, 4, we need jobs, we need food, we need jobs, we need education. But the kind of education we need is something that hindi lang facts, but understanding. Our education must help us understand who we are and why we have become what we are. And then, of course, your health, and that's it. Pero I want to give time also to Judith to be able to finish that. But basically, balikan natin, ang importansya ng edukasyon is para maintindihan natin ang sarili natin at para makatayo tayo at alam natin kung ano ipaglalaban natin sa buhay.
Bakit bagong Pilipino, bagong Pilipinas?
Kasi
Bakit bago?
kailangan kasi mabago yung pag-iisip natin. Actually, hindi mabago. Dapat mulat.
Mulat. Tama.
Tama. Yung mulat.
I love that. Mulat.
natanggal yung kumot sa utak natin para makita natin ano nga ba ang nangyari? Ano ba ang katotohanan? Kailangan talagang mamulat ang Pilipino. Hindi lang yung walk, no? But to truly see, come out of the cave and see the world for what it is. See the Philippines for what it is.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of being awake, I think that's a better word, no, being awake, because in reality, in the truest sense, Filipinos are brilliant. Filipinos are amazing. Filipinos are creative. And yet natatakpan lang ito ng maraming quotes of a lot of yung mga influences outside. And we forgot that we Filipinos have something to share, not just to our countrymen, but also to those outside the Philippines. So we have to be awake. Philippines, let us all be awake.
One last question. Sec Abella, if you were stuck in an island somewhere in Davao, let's say Samal, but that's so nice, right? But you were stuck there, right? And you had, let's say, 10,000 inhabitants to take care of. What would be the first thing that you would do?
If I was stuck in an island and I had 10,000 to take care of,
and they look at you as a leader, what would be the first thing that you would do?
I would...
In a pandemic, by the way, pandemic situation.
All right. Ang hahanapin ko yung maghahanap muna ako ng mga taong may connect sa ibang tao. I cannot do the whole transformation alone. So maghahanap ako ng mga tao na meron silang connection, leaders. I would look for leaders and I would share my vision to these leaders and I would teach them to share it to the others. Para discipleship,
Yeah. Ganda yan. At least Jesus had 12, right?
He had 12.
He had 12 to help him go around. And when he went back to heaven, he had, the people to continue. Right. Right. You're leaving something behind.
Andiyan si Judith, nakausap ko, isa siya.
There you have it. There you have it. If you were to pass this to your students, the same question, Ma'am Judith, what do you think would their answers be like?
For sure, malito. Pero I know, But then
Kailangan nandiyan si Sec Abella.
I know that there will be those who will also stand, no? There were also those who will stand for themselves and for others. Because we have been imprinting on them to not just look on themselves, but look after the rest who are surrounding you, are with you, to be responsible to those who are with you or with me.
Yeah.
Importante.
Thank you so much, Ma'am and Sec Abella, for being on the show again. The comments from most of our teachers are really on policy. So that's, I guess, something to chew on. It's been a while, and I think it's still their utmost concern up till now. And
can you tell me, for example, one question?
Well, one is on curriculum. Okay. Again, especially, and number two is also early childhood, because the teachers have a very difficult time in early childhood where they feel like natatambakan lang sila ng estudyante, walang naturuan sa bahay.
Okay. Pia, do us a favor. Is it okay with you if we have another session with these teachers? Because we would like to listen to their recommendations.
That's a good idea. Let me round them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ayoko magaling-galingan.
Pag hindi sila nahihiya.
Ano, hindi mahiya yan. Ang akin, hindi ba ang pangalan spicy lang. Basta ang puntos kasi ganito eh. I said, I keep insisting on civil society. Big sabihin, may participation ang tao. And I don't pretend to have all the answers.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen.
That's a good one. Okay. Huwag kayong mahiya. I'm like gonna text them not to be shy as well. But that's a good idea. Let's have them. Right? And make them... Nice. I love that. A good idea. Thank you so much, Abella. Ma'am Judith, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's maybe we can visit your school one time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, my public school teachers to visit your school. That would be a good learning for them, like a field.
Benchmarking. Yeah, benchmarking.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Till the next time, I'm gonna look for these teachers and let them know, and then just have a town hall.
Let's have a town hall. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Everyone.
Thank you, Judith.
Thank you po. My pleasure.